Friends, today is going to be a different session altogether. Today we have Amit Diwan with us, all the way from Boston, United States. So thanks, Amit, first of all, for joining us. And about Amit, I don't have to say anything about Amit today, friends, because obviously you are going to see in the way he's going to answer all these difficult or questions, which I feel senior folks, senior agile coach, senior scrum master should know. And I'm sure that this session is going to be really awesome. So Amit is an agile transformation coach. He has done a lot of transition in the digital space and all. So Amit, thanks for your time and yeah, welcome.
Thanks, Sunil. Thanks, first of all, for having me here. I
Yeah.
have to say, you set high expectations for me, so I'll try and live up to it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
let
sure.
me.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll do my best. But yeah,
Okay.
let me
Okay.
start with introducing myself. Amit
Yeah.
Diwan, as you can see, I'm an agile transformation coach. I have been introduced to agile almost 13 years back, and ever since then I've never looked back. I live by agile. It's my passion. I love my job and I love what I do. So as part of my journey from 2008 over to now, I have played different roles. I've started to learn with some of the best in the trade. What is agile all about? How, why is it important, why even do it, right? Like, so having had those conversations with a lot of different people, lot of different backgrounds and cultures, I've learned a lot, and I'm happy that Sunandi invited me so I can share that, because knowledge is as good as you share it, right? Otherwise it dies with time. So
It's,
I'm going to share all of that. I've played different roles along the way. I've been a scrum master, product owner, agile coach at different levels, squad, program, or depending on the framework and methodology you choose, value stream or domain, enterprise level. So I've played different roles. I've been fortunate to meet with a lot of wonderful people around the world, and I'd like to say that I have helped influence them, and in a lot of cases help them be better at what they were doing yesterday. So in the same spirit and hope, I'm hoping that I can answer some of these questions. Sunan's already scaring me with some of those questions, so let's see what he got.
okay. Okay. Okay, Amit. So let's see our very first one. Okay. So the very first one is what are the key parameters which shows that agile practices are working for any organization? So yeah, Amit, your
Question.
thoughts.
That's a great question. Yeah. So I think before we jump into the parameters, I think it's important to understand those parameters, right? And every organization is different. As I was saying earlier, I've had the fortune of working with different organizations. So I have seen success parameters defined differently by different organizations. There are financial organizations that may care about, success as, something that delivers greater value. Predictability might be something that they would care more about. Quality of delivery might be something that's at top of their list. Some other organizations might feel, time to market is important for them. So again, depending on the organization, the domain in which that organization operates, or the different environment this organization set up, their success criteria could be different. And that's a conversation to be had. That's the number one question you want to ask your organization. Why agile? What do you want to get out of it? And have that conversation, and understand if those conversations are already happened. Probably you just want to learn about you getting into an organization, or you already in an organization but you haven't really considered why are we doing this is important. So an organization and a team, an individual, everyone should ask that question, right? If you're doing something today, why are we doing it? Challenge that status quo. So I think the greatest success factor, or the key parameters that define um, that agile practices are well implemented, or as long as those are aligned with those success criteria for an organization. And as I said, it could be different for a different organization. So I can't say an organization is successful if they have improved their time to market. Maybe they don't care about time to market as much. Maybe they care about something else that's more important to this organization than time to market. So as long as you're seeing, and I think numbers go a long way. I'm a big numbers fan. I like to measure, form baselines, inspect and adapt with based on the numbers, the data, and see where we're going. Are we able to, let's say, time to market is a parameter to consider. Are we improving from, let's say, quarter one of 2020 to quarter one of 2021, or every quarter? Are we improving our cycle time? Are we reducing the time to market so that we're more competitive in market? Are we improving our quality? So there's a lot that agile offers, but depending on if you're able to first of all recognize the problem statement or what you're trying to solve with agile, and then have a plan to address it. And once you address that plan, or once you start addressing that plan, you want to make sure that you're also measuring it along the way. And if those, and there are assumptions that you'd bake in all along, um, which are fine, but you want to test those assumptions along the way. And number crunching and getting to data helps with those assumption validation as well. So I think that's how I define organizations be more successful, if they know what they're doing, why they're doing, and then how they're doing against the goals that they had set it for. Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So any sort of maybe matrices or something which you can talk about over here, or at org level, or if you have seen some of your past experience, if you want to share something.
Yeah, I think um, a lot depends on the three parameters I'm a big fan of. Number one,
Mhm.
alignment. I think an organization is successful if what the people on the ground are doing matches with the objectives and goals of the larger organization. If the work and the objectives are disconnected, that's that's an indication that people are working on the wrong priorities. So that's number one. I think there are different metrics to identify. You could have your dashboards built in such a way where you could have alignment between your objectives or KPIs with the work that the backlogs at different levels. So you could absolutely do that. There are tools out there that help you do that, form that alignment, make sure that nothing's orphan, orphan stories, orphan epics, orphan features, initiative, whatever terminology you use in an organization. So have that alignment in place, and that's number one to me. The next one, I think, is visibility. Once you know that these are the items that we're working on, these are the objectives that the organization cares about, how do we make sure that it's visible? Whatever work's being done, whatever vision is out there, whatever roadmaps are being built, how do you make sure that those are being delivered or being even worked upon? So there are metrics out there are dashboards out there are reports out there, and these different tools that will help you show the work that's being done at a sprint level. You'll have sprint reports, burn up charts, burn down charts. You can look at the backlogs. You could look at the PI or a quarterly planning data, or is everything that the teams are working on, is how is it doing? How are they doing with respect to what was promised? Are things added after the planning was done, or there was things that were reduced? Are we still on track? If there are risks, how do we highlight those risks? And I think the number three is predictability, which is equally important. You want to make sure that you are able to predict. If you've promised a certain goal, let's say a month down the line there's a release coming along, and if you're on track, you want to get that predictability in there. If you're late, you want to set up tools, the burn down versus the ideal line kind of a chart, which will help you understand and determine, are we tracking towards those release goals that we stated to deliver. And you want to do it soon. You don't want to get into a place where, oh, a week from now is a release date, and now we're thinking, oh, we can't make it. And that's the whole power of these reports, the data that you crunch, the reports, that dashboards that you build, is to give you that indication up front. If you have a release goal for, let's say, I don't know, a month from now, and week from when you started, you see, we were supposed to be finishing 50 points and we're only 25 points through. then you want to have a conversation about it. Is this something that's just early days, we're still catching up, new squad, new whatever? Is that the case? Is the retrospect, take a pause? Or is it something that we did not estimate the work better enough or good enough, that now it has blown out of proportion and we can't do it anymore? So rather than having it like later, closer to release, you want to have those conversations up front. So again, there's a lot of different metrics out there, but I think these, as long as you have these three in mind, alignment, visibility, and predictability, I think you're golden.
Okay, thanks a lot, Amit, for that. Okay, shall we move to the next one?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. So, is it important for a dev team to be involved in the product discovery process? And if you think so, how we can do that?
Yeah, I think it is. I think again it goes back to the alignment piece that I was just talking about. It is very, very important that the team feels a part of what the overall vision is, right? I understand the business, the customers influence those decisions, but it's not always top down. And in my previous life, I've seen um, organizations assuming that whatever we've defined is all great. In fact, reminds me of a time where we were building this consistent user experience, and within this user experience the assumption was we were trying to identify a user persona consistently, and the assumption, no one spoke to it, but the assumption there was that all the different systems will feed the data into that one backend system, and then a unique identifier will come out of it. And we wanted to see, is that assumption even true? And there was no way possible for this program to be able to understand that without the involvement of the developers or the development team. So we ended up building a lean canvas where we brought all the different perspectives in here, whether it's from a business perspective, product management, proxy for a customer, people in the field force, developers, QAs. We got all representatives in the room, and then we talked through what are we trying to accomplish. First of all, it's important to understand the problem statement. So that was, again, when we started talking about the problem statement, everyone had a different perspective. Oh, we want to identify uniquely. Oh, we want to improve our customer experience. Oh, we want to do something else about that uniquely identifying. In some cases it was just let's just reduce the cycle time for that persona to be able to onboard with that application. So there were so many different problem statements that were thrown out, and that was all the more reason to for the developers or the team to be able to be on that same page with everyone. So we zeroed on what's really the problem that we're trying to solve. So that kind of leans, that's why it's called lean canvases, because it gives you a leaner perspective into what is the specific problem that you're trying to solve. And then once we understood the problem, we decided, okay, who are we solving this for, right? So what's our persona that we're solving it for? So we decided, zeroed in the persona. Then we talked about what are the business metrics, what are the customer metrics, what's the benefit for the organization and for the customer, the end user who's going to benefit from it. And once we had that laid down, now we understood, okay, why are we doing it, and who's going to benefit from it, and what does that end state look like. And this is only possible because you had all the perspectives captured in there, not just the developers, not just the business. I think it's more than that. It's a collaboration of those different ideas, and everyone brings in that perspective. And then you talk about solutions, and then the solutions are more in line with the problem as opposed to any random solution out there, right? And then then you go through the whole lean canvas exercise of making assumptions, leap of faith, and then experimenting and start to map out your work. But the bottom line is you don't want to miss any perspective, whether it's a business perspective or a customer perspective or a scrum master perspective or a developer perspective. Every voice counts, and you want to include all those voices into that solution.
Hey, thanks, Amit, for this Okay.
Sure.
So, okay, here's the other. Okay. So, how you will coach the different stakeholders who are not familiar with Agile? Yeah, it's again a very common questions asked a lot of places, lot of times. So, yeah, your thought, Amit, on this.
Yeah. I think anyone you speak with, whether it's a stakeholder or a developer or a product owner, it's important to meet this person where they are. You don't want to start throwing jargons at people. You don't want to start telling them prescriptions of what's agile, why is it important, right? If it's important to learn about the stakeholder that you're speaking with, as to where they're coming from, why would they even want to be agile, right? And if that perspective is missing, you might go and speak with these stakeholders, or anybody for that matter, speak to them about agile the whole day you want, or whatever time you have with them. They will not pick it up because they're not interested. I think it's important to understand where the stakeholders are coming from. What's important for the stakeholders? Why would a stakeholder care about agile? So it reminds me of a time where I was speaking with one of the head of a business unit in my previous work, and this person was a no nonsense kind of a guy, and he was very meticulous about his area, and he's very strong, very smart guy, very, outspoken, um, good to work with those people. But again, at the same time, I knew that before I met with this person, that this guy won't take any nonsense. So it's important for me to do my homework. And before I go to this person, I did my homework and understood what does he really care about? What does he really have interest in? And this person had interest more in predictability, because his program was doing all the good things, but they were struggling to predict a date. So I went in, talked to this person, and listened through it. Listening is the number one skill that you want to have as an agile coach, as a scrum master. Empathizing with people is very important. And once you're done that, you've understood where they're coming from, you want to speak their language. You don't want to throw jargons at people. You don't want to throw terminology frameworks, because people don't appreciate that. What you do want to do is speak to things that they may get interested in. So I started speaking about how can I help you improve the predictability. You've got all the wonderful backlogs, you've got the roadmaps, but those are not connected as well as it should be. And help them to be able to make that connection, build those visibility, predictability parameters into what he was looking at already. It wasn't a heavy lift, but it was important for him, because he was only looking for that level of expertise. So no matter who you talk to, stakeholder or not, speak to people where they are, bring them to your world, but don't rush. Understand where they're coming from, make sure that you understand them, and they will start understanding where you're coming from, as long as you work with them on their platforms.
Okay, thanks, Amit, for that.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So, how do you encourage an agile mindset across the organization? Again, it's a typically asked question.
Mhm.
How we can disperse the agile mindset? We talk about lot about this mindset thing. So, if you can also throw some your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think I go back to when I say agile mindset, it's agile is a lot of inspect and adapt. It's a lot of respect for people. It's a lot of, you know, learn as you go. Tolerance for failure is another aspect of agile. So I think there are a lot of those aspects that you want to have or consider as you speak to spreading that mindset. And of course, this is a cultural change, right? People are typically used to being told what to do, what to expect, and they hope that someone will come and tell them what to do, and they do it. No issues there. But agile is more about owning stuff. And that's where I think that gap lies between where we are and where we want to be. One of the techniques that has worked very well is, of course, other than training, working sessions, working with the individuals, is having workshops, understand what's the, first of all, defining what's that agile mindset, right? Like I said earlier, it's important before we jump into solutions, understand the problem. So what is agile mindset for an organization? And it could, again, vary from organization to organization. Some organizations may care about, being more flexible, open to changes, or having people own their own work, um, continuously improve. So there's a lot that goes into an organization agile mindset. So once you have that definition, depending on where the organization sees itself going from where they are to being an agile organization, once you have that definition, then you want to measure it. Then you want to talk to people in the organization and say, okay, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, we want to see how trusted an individual feels in an organization. And if the answer, and have it in a more anonymous way, so that people don't feel offended when their bosses are watching and whatnot. So they want to be safe and secure into that environment. And if that parameter or that measurement criteria that you've set, or agile mindset criteria that you've set in place, doesn't come as true, then have people speak to it, and have a neutral facilitator kind of speak to those behaviors. We did a lot of these workshops in some of my previous organizations, where we got the squads together as coaches. I facilitated these sessions with the teams, and had the teams speak to some of those challenges, whether it's trust, continuous learning, alignment, whatever those aspirations for the organization are. Where do the people not feel as trusted? Where do they not feel as valued? So have those conversations. There's always some trend that comes out of it. Bring that feedback back to the leaders of the organization. Speak to it. How can we make it better? How can we instill trust? Or do we need a different leadership style? Do we need to talk through it? Do we need something else? Who knows, right? So it's important to talk through things. It's important to extract that information. It's important for people to feel safe when they speak to some of the areas that the agile mindset is not as prevalent in their organization. And once you have that, you collect that data, have some action items, maybe mini goals every quarter, over a period of time. It's a journey. So it's not happening overnight. It's not happening in months. It takes years. So once you have that, like any other backlog, a prioritized list of action items, then you go through that journey and say, okay, the top one, most hurt feedback from the rest of the organization, of the squad members, is trust. Let's see how we can build that trust. Let's see how we can trust them to do their job. Let's see how we can stop micromanaging. Solutions come out of it once you have a definition of a problem. So again, talking, collaborating, as always, communication and collaboration over processes and tools, that's there for a reason, and we should explore it and exploit it as much as we can.
Okay, thanks a lot, Amit, for this. Okay. Okay, again, one more interesting one. So according to you, who is the successful Scrum Master, and how you measure the Scrum Master success? Now, this is a question which we got 100 times. How you will measure the Scrum Master success, Amit? So yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of misconception about this question, but yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, Amit.
sure, sure. Who is a successful Scrum Master? Okay, and this can be different for different people, but I'll give you my definition. When I was a Scrum Master, I used to think I'm a successful Scrum Master if I go on a vacation, the squad can function without me. And if I have set up my squad into a position where they need less of me, I'm a successful Scrum Master. Because guess what? If the squad can survive without you for a week, they can pretty much self-organized. They can pretty much be self-organized to deliver the goals that they're slated to deliver. So I think that's That to me is a success criteria for a scrum master, is to enable the squads or the teams, depending on the terminology people use, to be able to lead them to a path where they are not looking for someone to tell them what to do. They are looking to be able to pick up an item from the backlog, start working on it, deliver it as fast as they can, deliver that high quality, and then continue that cycle sustainably. And if, as a scrum master, I'm able to set that team member or every team member in my team to that success story, they're able to function, even run, ceremonies without me, right? And there are techniques out there, right? Yeah, how you can do that. You don't want some of the common behaviors that I've seen with different parts of the organization or team members is everyone, not everyone, but some teams come in and report into the scrum master. If I'm a scrum master and my team member comes and says, Amit, I did this yesterday, this is my plan for tomorrow, this is my blocker, it's not for me. As a scrum master, I care about it, but it's an opportunity for the team members to synchronize so that they're able to see person number one has done a certain piece of work, now person number two can assume. And that's the synchronization where stand-ups or any of the team collaboration is important. And those are some symptoms that you want to look for. Is my team reporting into me as a scrum master, or they're talking to each other, then they almost see me as an invisible role, right? So that's one. The others, factors that you see is, a scrum master is able to facilitate those conversations, but he or she is the only person who's doing it. So you want to do that round robin facilitation where team members are able to function in the absence of scrum master the same way as they would in the presence of the scrum master, and they're able to contribute. I've had teams where team members would come in and suggest the theme of the retro every week. So number one, I didn't have to worry about the theme every week, which can sometimes get monotonous, and the retrospective, let's say, for example, can get monotonous. Instead, the team felt involved, and they used to come up with their own themes. An airplane with a propeller not working, and there's millions of examples out there. So as a scrum master, you can only think so much, right? As a person, you can only think so much, but if you combine the power of many brains together, there's so much more fun that you can have. And that's the number one thing I think is important, is have fun while you're doing your job or whatever you're doing, because if you're not having fun, chances are you're not going to last too long. So have fun. The scrum master helps the team get to that place where they're able to collaborate a lot more, having that fun together, and most importantly, deliver to the goals of the organization and feel happy about what they're doing. And that's one of the success parameters of a scrum master. I can go on and on, and there's a lot that the scrum master can do and can avoid, but these are some of the tips that can help a scrum master be better at what they do.
Hey, thanks, Amit. And on a similar line, the other question is, yeah, moreover the same, like according to you, who is a successful product owner? And again, how you measure the product owner's success?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one too. I think a product owner is, I think of a product owner as a bridge between customer slash business and the teams, and I think it's a very very critical role. The single most important um, aspect of a product owner to me, and there's a lot that product owner does, but for me, is how does a product owner help maximize value? And that is a big statement, right? That's something that is not as simple as it sounds. Maximizing value is not as objective as it sounds. There's a lot that goes into maximizing value. First of all, understanding what the customer wants, understanding the needs of the business, understanding what are the parameters that drive value for an organization, and then how do you maximize that? How do you make sure that every single story or backlog item or epic that the team is working on is of the highest value, and there's nothing in the backlog that the teams are working on that's lower in value and they're still working on it, unless there are blockers to something that's higher in value. So I think maximizing that ROI is important. I think one of the success factors of a product owner measurement, I don't like to call it measurement, but I would say a success factor for a product owner would be, are my customers happy? Are the people, the business, the stakeholders that we're working for, do they see value? Do they use our product as much as we would like? Do we have that defined? First of all, as a product owner, you want to define, where do we want to be? Some kind of a roadmap, right? Where you have the objectives defined in the OKR or whatever terminology you use, where you're categorically, specifically defining what are the objectives, how do we measure success, and once we reach there, how do we know we've reached there? So understanding that problem statement or an opportunity upfront and living through it and say, okay, my customer would need this. Maybe even talk to customers, right? There are times you can go and talk to customers and find out where they're coming from. Speak with the customers, understand where they're coming from. Would they benefit from a potential solution that's thrown out there? And then measure, is that success solution good enough that the customer or the user benefits from? So lots of different techniques to prioritize your backlog, to build those roadmaps, to translate a vision into different levels of backlogs, and then working with the team to answer any questions, accept and reject work. There's a lot that product owner does, and it's important that there is appreciation for that. The other success factor for a product owner would be, the team feels connected with the product owner. Again, there are product owners out there that may come and do their job, but they're really doing their job. They're not engaged with the team. There is a question, they probably answer the what, but they're not talking as much about the why we're doing this. So if the team feels disconnected from the larger goal, that's probably something that a product owner could, maybe with the help of a scrum master, could address or help the team to understand and be more connected. Because the more the team's connected, the better solutions are going to come out of the ecosystem. So yeah, I think those are some of the parameters, success criteria for product owners that I think are important. Again, there's no exact science to it as to how do you measure success. There's no metrics around it. Maybe there is, but I like to think of it as something that people can feel and see and appreciate, as opposed to measuring it somewhere.
Okay, Amit. So yeah, thanks, I think, for whatever the limited time I have with you. So we have covered measure and all the questions for today, Amit. And we
Great.
love to see you maybe in some other session, maybe some sort of webinar if you can share in future. That will be great for all of our audience who is going to watch that. So Amit, thanks one more time for your yeah. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
See you. Bye.